Amanda Stevens is a high-powered executive in Silicon Valley, used to the luxuries that come with her success. On a routine flight to New York, she expects nothing less than first-class treatment. But when she boards, her world is upended by Marcus Blackwell, a mysterious man sitting beside her in the seat she reserved. He's calm, confident, and clearly out of place in her eyes. What starts as a minor discomfort quickly escalates into a shocking chain of events that could destroy her career. What happens next will leave you questioning everything. Comment below, where are you watching from? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Amanda Stevens, a senior executive at one of Silicon Valley's most prestigious tech firms, was the epitome of success. Her life was an endless cycle of meetings, high-power deals, and glamorous travel. Today, as she walked through the sleek, glass-walled airport terminal, she felt the familiar rush of satisfaction. She had earned her place in the world of corporate power, and she enjoyed the fruits of that success: priority check-in, a quiet, exclusive lounge, and the privilege of first-class travel. It wasn't just about the comfort of the plush seats and premium meals, it was about the validation it gave her. Every detail of her life was a symbol of how far she had come. Amanda's reputation in the corporate world preceded her. A brilliant, assertive strategist, she had broken through countless barriers in a male-dominated industry, steadily climbing the ladder. Her sharp intellect, combined with her ability to wield influence with elegance, made her a force to be reckoned with. And yet, there was a certain coldness about her, a quiet distance she maintained between herself and others. People saw her as confident, maybe even intimidating, but they didn't know the story beneath the polished exterior. As she sat in the lounge, flipping through a magazine and sipping on a glass of chilled champagne, Amanda couldn't help but survey the other passengers. Some were dressed in suits that were clearly well-tailored but not quite in the league of her own designer wardrobe. A few glanced at her, likely aware of who she was, but didn't approach her. And that was just how she liked it. She wasn't interested in small talk or unnecessary pleasantries. As far as Amanda was concerned, success was measured by how much distance you could place between yourself and the people who didn't have the vision to make it to where you were. Her name was called for boarding, and she gracefully made her way to the gate. The flight was a routine part of her quarterly business trips to New York. She barely thought about the destination, it was the journey that mattered, the time she could spend getting ahead of the next big deal. Amanda had been in this world long enough to know that perception was everything. First class was her domain, a small but important detail that reinforced her place in the elite circles of corporate America. However, as she entered the plane and walked down the narrow aisle, something caught her attention. Her seat, row 3, aisle seat, was already occupied. By a man. A man who, at first glance, didn't appear to belong there. The man sitting in her seat, Marcus Blackwell, was well-dressed in a dark, perfectly tailored suit. His appearance was unremarkable enough, a tall, well-groomed man in his mid-30s, but there was something about him that caught Amanda off guard. He had a calm, unassuming air about him, a certain ease in his posture that made him seem out of place. The way he sat with his back slightly reclined, his expression relaxed as he flipped through a business magazine, suggested a comfort that was at odds with the tension she felt rising in her chest. Amanda's mind immediately began to work, labeling and categorizing him. He doesn't look like someone who belongs in first class. Her eyes lingered on him, wondering if he was someone who had somehow gotten into the wrong seat. But surely, she thought, the flight attendants would have caught such a mistake. Still, as she walked down the aisle, she couldn't help but glance at him again. Maybe he's one of those self-made men who thinks wearing a nice suit makes him fit in here. She sat down in her seat and immediately tried to push the thought away. She needed to focus on the business ahead, on the presentations, the calls, the meetings that would fill her schedule once she landed. But Marcus's presence beside her was unsettling. His calmness, his quiet confidence, it was as though he belonged here just as much as she did. It was exactly that unspoken ease that unnerved Amanda, a reminder that the rules she had always relied on, the ones that told her who was worthy of such status, were not as rigid as she thought. She turned to the flight attendant, Rachel, who was offering drinks to passengers. Amanda leaned over and, in a tone that was both casual and commanding, asked Rachel to double-check Marcus's ticket. "Excuse me, I just wanted to confirm if this gentleman is sitting in the correct seat. I don't think we've met before." Rachel, looking slightly perplexed but still polite, smiled. "Of course, I'll take care of it." The attendant walked over to Marcus and asked for his boarding pass. Marcus handed it to her with a smile, never flinching at the awkwardness of the situation. After a brief exchange, Rachel returned to Amanda with the confirmation: Marcus was in the right seat. Amanda's discomfort grew, her eyes narrowing slightly as she processed this new information. She forced a tight smile and nodded, trying to hide the unease that had begun to settle deep in her stomach. No mistake, she thought. He is where he belongs, but does he really? As the flight continued, Amanda's discomfort simmered beneath the surface. She tried to distract herself with the in-flight entertainment, but her mind kept drifting back to Marcus. Every so often, she would glance at him, observing the calm and ease with which he interacted with the attendants, the way he adjusted his seat and opened his laptop without hesitation. In contrast, Amanda felt herself becoming more agitated with each passing minute. She couldn't help but notice the subtle differences between herself and Marcus. He doesn't look like someone who's worked his way to this level, she thought. The distance between them wasn't just physical, it was rooted in her assumptions about who deserved to be here, in this space, with her. His quiet presence only seemed to amplify the questions she refused to confront about her own place in the world. As the flight progressed, she couldn't help but notice how easy Marcus seemed to fit in. He was polite with the flight attendants, but not overly deferential. He seemed content with the privacy of first class, but not entitled. He read a business magazine, occasionally glancing at his phone, and appeared calm and composed. Amanda tried to engage him with small talk, but her attempts felt forced. "Are you in New York for work?" she asked, her voice more clipped than she intended. Marcus looked up from his magazine, his eyes warm and unruffled by her tone. "Yes, a meeting," he replied simply. "How about you?" Amanda paused, the question throwing her off. "Business," she responded with a cool nod, as if the word itself explained everything. Her discomfort deepened. She couldn't quite explain it, but something about Marcus felt like a challenge to the structure of her world. He didn't need to prove anything, and that, in itself, was proving to be more unsettling than she anticipated. As the flight continued, Amanda's frustration began to rise. She found herself staring at Marcus, observing the way he interacted with his environment, calm and collected. She couldn't help but compare herself to him. She had built her entire identity on being better than others, on deserving this seat, this place in the world. But Marcus, it seemed, had bypassed all of that. He wasn't playing the game. And it made Amanda uneasy in a way she couldn't put into words. Her frustration came to a head when she asked Rachel, once again, to double-check Marcus's ticket. "Are you sure he belongs here?" Amanda asked pointedly, her voice laced with an edge she hadn't meant to reveal. Rachel, startled by the sharpness in Amanda's tone, hesitated for a moment but quickly moved on to assist other passengers. The tension continued to build. Every glance Amanda cast at Marcus felt like a judgment. And with each exchange, she felt more alienated from him, more aware of the growing divide between them. She could not understand how someone like him could so easily fit in her world, a world she had spent years crafting with such precision. When the flight landed, Amanda's life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. A passenger, a younger woman sitting across the aisle, had recorded a video of Amanda whispering to the flight attendant about Marcus. The video quickly went viral, sparking an online debate about classism, bias, and the unspoken judgments that govern everyday life. The fallout was immediate. Amanda's social media exploded with criticism, and news outlets quickly picked up the story. As she tried to defend herself, the contrast between her increasingly defensive stance and Marcus's calm demeanor became even more apparent. The world, it seemed, had taken sides. Within days, Amanda's company, once a proud supporter of her success, distanced itself from her. The pressure grew, and soon Amanda was forced to step down from her position. The media frenzy continued, and Amanda was left alone to reflect on the assumptions she had made, assumptions that had cost her everything. In life, our assumptions about others can lead us down dangerous paths. Amanda Stevens, a successful executive, spent years building her career on the foundation of status, wealth, and power. Yet, when she encountered Marcus Blackwell, a man who didn't fit her preconceived image of success, her judgments and biases began to cloud her perception. Her discomfort turned into arrogance, and her assumptions about Marcus, based on his appearance and demeanor, set in motion a series of events that would unravel her career. In her blind pursuit of external validation, she overlooked a simple truth: true success is not measured by what we see on the outside but by the quiet confidence and humility that come from within. Marcus, despite his vast wealth and accomplishments, chose to live humbly, unaffected by societal expectations. This contrast highlighted Amanda's internal struggle and ultimately revealed the cost of her assumptions. The story teaches us that judgment, especially when rooted in bias, can have far-reaching consequences. It's a reminder to challenge our perceptions, to look beyond appearances, and to recognize the value in everyone, regardless of how they may seem on the surface. True success comes from understanding, empathy, and respect for others, values that transcend social status or wealth. Let this story serve as a powerful lesson: don't let assumptions guide your decisions, for the true measure of a person's worth is far deeper than what we see at first glance. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more insightful content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. Your support means a lot, thank you.